Yes, UCLA can win this game against Indiana. They just have to execute offensively, which they can't. What can they?
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. This episode is brought to you by Ultimate College Football Head Coach, a brand new mobile game that is completely free, no ads, and has 100% playable offline. Begin your coaching legacy today. Where we get started in this one is we're talking exclusively the UCLA offense against the Indiana defense, right? And the Indiana defense has posted some big numbers. They've only allowed 10 points in their first couple of games. And this isn't necessarily throughout this episode going to focus specifically on the Indiana defense or on the key characters in that defense in this episode. That'll come a little later in the week. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're a Hoosier fan is like, yeah, where's this? Yeah, we're going a little deeper in that end of the week. This is very centrally focused on what UCLA needs to do in the fact that they can win this game. Despite being underdogs, despite as crappy as they looked in their first game against Hawaii, they've had 2 weeks to fix it. And I am not changing my mind that UCLA can and absolutely should win this game. Not that they should win this by 2 scores, by 10 points, but it comes down to each team, honestly, in my opinion. It comes down to not what the other team is doing, it's execution. This game is going to boil down to execution, large in part. And for UCLA, they are the team that did not look at one bit that they executed everything they wanted to versus Hawaii. They looked a little bit better in the second half, and now we're left wondering, is this as ugly as it could be this year, or was it first week jitters on the road against the Hawaii team that could be better than we think? And then that's what the Indiana fans are thinking. They're better than they would have hoped. And we're, as UCLA fans, wondering, are the Hoosiers better than we thought in the schedule? All right. But it comes down to UCLA looking interiorly and being focused on themselves offensively. What can they fix? It starts with the offensive line. I believe I read Wednesday practice. You did have DeGiorgio and Unije practice. So 2 of your starting tackles are on their way, seemingly, to playing this game. 2 guys that either didn't last long or did not play in the Hawaii game. So when you are back up 2 starters on the offensive line, I'm not sure what that means exactly. It's not going to fix everything, but a whole lot of problems will be helped out on the offensive line when 2 of their starting offensive linemen will be hopefully returning. They're trending that way, and if they do, I would like to think UCLA, one, is going to have more success running the ball. They have to. They have to. We'll get on that. But a large in part, it starts with the offensive line creating holes for the run game, keeping Garbers upright, giving him time to pass. And if he and the rest of the UCLA offense are having a lot of trouble trying to digest the Bieniemy verbiage, the West Coast offense, whatever it may be, what UCLA needs is an offensive line that can, at the very least, keep their quarterback upright. Keep the quarterback upright and open the run game. So the offensive line is an absolute must in this game. They need to play better. They need their starters back. The large part of this team, there is talent on this team. I believe it. It's in small pockets. It is not in a depth. But I think defensively there is some talent. There are some talented players, and they came to play, made some big plays against Hawaii. Offensively, you look to the receiver room. The running backs, I think, have some talented moments. But if they're getting tackled 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, then there's not a lot they're going to do fighting for yards after contact every single time against every defensive front. Not even the best of running backs getting hit 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage are going to do that every single carry and get yards after the carry, right? They had to at least burst through the seams, burst through the holes, whatever gap it may be, and get some daylight and then make big plays happen. So it starts up front with the big boys, which was the big concern heading into the Big Ten. Can UCLA, whether it is a myth, whether it's true, whether it's not, the trenches are a big part of this conference. It's not spread it out, throw it all over the field. Although some teams, some of the more successful teams, are able to do that a little more. Those teams who can generally have a little more success, unless you're Michigan last year, who ran it right down teams' throats and were the most physical team in the country that beat Alabama and outmuscled Washington in their national championship game. So UCLA is heading to a conference where there's a premium on offensive line play. And we're going to see that week 1 of Big Ten play, week 3 of the college football season against Indiana, who's coming in cocky, confident, with a very, very brash, not like in your face, mean, messed up coach, but just like, we're coming to kick your butt. And that's the mentality the Big Ten tends to have. And especially when it comes to the physicality of the conference, we're coming to kick your butt. And generally the team who wins is the team who kicks butt, unless there's the team who can keep their quarterback upright to do enough finesse things and beat that team in an upset, which generally has not happened over the time in Big Ten play. That just has not happened in recent years. All right. Now, can UCLA not just have the running game blowed up for like 30 yards? That doesn't include Garber scrambles. All right. Now, Garbers is his own thing. Okay. The running game needs to have some life. We're going to talk about that next, but we had to start with the offensive line. We had to. It has to be much better in this game, executing wise. They can't get blown up against Indiana. If they get blown up against Indiana, it will mean all hell to pay, and it's all broken loose in the Rose Bowl. It will be ugly if that happens. If they can't protect Garbers, goodness, then we won't have a chance to nitpick what Garbers does or does not do, or the running game, or the play calling. You've got to be able to protect the quarterback. And until then we can't nitpick these other things like we will in segments 2 and 3. Okay? But it starts with the offensive line. And when they play and when they come to play and they're at their full strength, having a full couple weeks after playing one game to understand everything, get the full unit together, they can be bred for success. And I think they can be if they're all healthy and they figured it out. I believe good things are in store for UCLA, at least in this week. Despite what's turned into a week filled with doubt, despite their one being a week we should be expecting a win. It's weird. Heading into the next segment, let's talk a little bit about the Garbers QB mentality. Next on Locked On UCLA. Hey, Locked On UCLA fans. Let's tell you about a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. It's an amazing game and simulation that gets you to step in the shoes of head coach Deshaun Foster and lead the Bruins to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of the UCLA Bruins? You get to recruit the players, hire the coaching staff, oversee the training camps, and handle schooler scholarships. Every crucial detail of the program is all in your hands. Can you handle the pressure? You sit there now talking trash, but could you do it? When Indiana comes to town and you've got to call the plays like Eric Bieniemy and company. That's what I really love about the game. You are responsible for calling plays, and it's the strategy that helps not only determine the success of the program, but shape your future and the legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football Head Coach, completely free, no ads, 100% playable offline. You can play on the go and as you want and when you want to. We have a special offer for Locked On UCLA fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB. Again, Locked On CFB, all caps, for a free game boost inside the game for your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as it'll get your team off to a strong start. Download the game by visiting ultimate-cfb.com. Again, ultimate-cfb.com. Look it up in the App Store. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, I know you're going to want to get to the Rose Bowl to watch that Deshaun Foster opener, right? Right? Yes. So go to Game Time. Go to Game Time. They've got a new feature called Game Time Picks that helps make getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. It filters out the fluff and only shows incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. Now go to Game Time, get those tickets for the UCLA game, right? Go check them out. Because all you got to do is you can see the seat views. The panoramic view of the Rose Bowl, you can look at that from the app before you buy. And there's a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference for your ticket. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use the code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. All right, this UCLA offense-focused episode. We go to segment 2. This is the Garbers segment. What does Garbers have to do? He was the clear runaway quarterback, the favorite at the end of the year. He was maligned after the first part of the game in week 1 of 2023, lost his job. All of a sudden, Dante Moore runs away. We realized, oh, wait, the redshirt junior was much better or was more seasoned and knew the Chip Kelly offense better. And next thing you know, UCLA ended up with Garbers, who played much better. And the Bruins, when he figured it out, were a very good football team in 23. Are we in store for something different this year with an unquestioned redshirt senior leader? He was excited to see Deshaun Foster come back. Of course, is ready to thrive under the Eric Bieniemy offense. But will that be the case? Now, if the offensive line gives him time to throw, if they give him time to throw and make reads and understand things and not make terrible decisions, this game will be on Garbers' shoulders for UCLA. Because I think the defense can come to play, regardless of Indiana's 77 points. If UCLA is going to feast, like Logan Loya said in the preseason, it's a buffet. This is what this offense is. We can go around everybody getting the ball. That wasn't the case against Hawaii. Running was hard to come by. A lot of the balls went to J. Michael. They went to Monteval. And large in part, the big day was Rico Flores Jr., the guy who took over Logan Loya's starting spot as the one in the slot to make the big play and get the most amount of receptions and yards and get the big score to start off the second half. So what UCLA needs to do is figure out what the redshirt senior quarterback needs to do to be successful. Well, we already talked about keeping him upright. If that's the case, and yes, he'll get sacked. They're not going to be a super strong offensive line, but they can give him more time to throw than in 23. It's up to him to make good decisions. The graphic that was shown, if you forgot about 2 weeks ago, UCLA was the worst team in the red zone in 23. Regardless of who's the offensive coordinator, who's the quarterback, well, I guess it does matter. They were the worst team at forcing the ball in the red zone because they couldn't kick field goals. They missed more than 50%. Should be okay with Mateen Bagani out there kicking field goals as he was lights out, including the game winner to win the game. So they need their points. And then they can't have a pick in the end zone, whether it's going for it on 3rd and goal, losing 3 points, or coughing up 3 points, throwing it while trying to avoid a sack and a safety. Yes, I know Garbers was trying to make so much of a play, but UCLA almost gave up 7 points there, and they coughed up 3 after the defense forced a huge turnover in that Hawaii game. I know he was trying to make a play to avoid giving up points. And there's so many times when you watch your own quarterback, like, just throw the ball away when there's a potential safety. And then there's what happened there where, yes, he was put into a tough situation with 1st and 10 from his own 10, where he probably shouldn't have been needed to go for a deep shot or a shotgun snap. Should have just taken a knee or handed it off and let the running back make the mistake if you hand it off just to eat some clock and force the opposition to take a timeout. What UCLA did not want, did not need was Garbers to cough it up. So he needs to be good in goal line situations where it comes to making audibles. I know Bieniemy had talked about how much leeway Garbers is going to get. Well, after week 1, I'm not sure Garbers is going to have a lot of ability to make adjustments on the line. Now, can UCLA line up quickly? Because remember, the new system this year is direct communication from the coach to the designated player on the offensive side and the designated player on the defensive side. The defense is generally the linebackers. All offenses will have the quarterback with the headset helmets getting direct communication from the coach from the sidelines. Now, if they can get upset a little quicker, maybe they can survey everything, but it's only up to 15 seconds on the play clock, and then that shuts off. Even if it's not working, you only got till 15 seconds on the play clock, and then it's up to Garbers to make last-second reads if he is given that. I wonder how much in this game Garbers will be given to change it and force something different with the play, changing the blocking, or is it more he has to read what Bieniemy calls and hope that it's a good play and that the first or second or third option are there. But he can't just key in on one receiver. He can't just force it and hope that there's long balls down the field. These receivers, one, need to make some plays for him. They didn't make a lot of plays for him in the air. The Bruins weren't going to win balls in the air with the receiver group that's supposed to be a room that could challenge among some of the top three in the Big Ten Conference. An 18-team conference, that says a lot. So you got to give Garbers, you got to give your receivers a chance, but they also have to give you a chance by winning the ball deep down the field when they need to take a deep shot. UCLA can't connect on just one deep shot in this game. They need at least three. And yes, chunk yards, 20 yards or something. I like UCLA to get 3 35-yard or more. And that's a lot. That's a lot. This isn't going to be a key to the game. I just want to see them be able to do it because they got the receivers who can go vertical. I want them to hit 3 35-yard plus pass plays. Whether it's a screen that breaks out, whether it's a deep route, a big post tournament, make somebody miss. That is my goal. I could adjust that to 30. I want that play a little bit bigger than a 20-yard chunk and less than a 50-yard super bomb. So I want that big play that can help them move down the field and prove that they can move the ball vertically. All right? And that comes to good throws, where there's times last year, Garbers, we could see he just couldn't throw the ball as accurately as Dante could. Dante just couldn't process that as much on the field, got the pressure, and then when you don't have time to throw, you have to have the moxie in there. And Garbers had a little bit more of that as a junior compared to a true freshman. But the touch on the ball, Garbers does not have that as much. He did not showcase that in week one with decision-making and then the touch on the throw every single time. Other than that, Federico Flores, he was hitting an open receiver who needs to make a play, right? Which where they're going to talk with the skill players. They got to make plays. They have to make plays. There cannot be excuses all the way around in this game. Garbers, good decision-making, make great throws. Not good throws. We know what good Garbers throws are. We want him to make great throws and get us excited and prove the naysayers wrong. Hey, Garbers is a bottom 9 QB in the 18-team conference. When we believe, and I think we've seen at his best, he can be much better. All right? We'll talk about the receivers, the running backs, tight ends next on Locked On UCLA. You've heard us talk about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. In this game, the Bruins are not favored at home. And it's basically a toss-up. It's about a 3-point spread. I've seen it earlier in the week on FanDuel, about +3 for UCLA, whether you get it +2.5, +3, +3.5. It's fluctuating between that point. Get your up-to-date numbers by checking out FanDuel.com and get those numbers, all right? But that's not what we're talking about. Yes, I want you to hit UCLA +3. Or maybe you want to hedge your bet, get a UCLA win, do whatever. Check it out. Now, we've got something different for you from now until September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 to get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan is needed. You'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. If that's not enough, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app. Use it for FanDuel's double your winnings for all Sunday, September 15th. Pre-game moneyline bets, Profit Boost will be live starting Thursday, September 12th. View your account page now to learn more about your boost. Visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. All right, last segment for this one today here on Locked On UCLA. We've talked the offensive line. We've talked Garbers. The Garbers situation, if the offensive line plays well, Garbers shifts into the #1 spot in this conversation for what we look at, and the main reason why UCLA wins or loses this game. It will mostly be up to the throws and decisions of Ethan Garbers in this game. Maybe he needs only 9 throws for 11 or something ridiculous, and the Bruins can run the ball. I don't know, but Garbers can be the most important factor if the offensive line makes this game a non-factor in the trenches. Now the skill players. In my mind, trying to jog the memory, think about the Hawaii game, there's quite a few passes where, yes, some of these receivers had to knock the balls down on throws from Garbers, and they're trying to go deep, a lot of that being Eric Bieniemy, who's going to have a big say as to good plays, what Garbers can read and choose to change at the line. But it's up to the skill players to make plays. You look at Matavao. He's the big tight end. UCLA is going deep in the tight end room. I know they've got Bryce Pierre, who wasn't even number 2 on the depth chart. They're missing Habermill. UCLA's got to lean on a Matavao. They've got to lean on this super stacked receiver room, whether it's Carter Shaw, Rico Flores Jr., Jay Michael, even Logan Loya appearances and making catches, even Titus Mokia Atamalala, who got quite a few balls in that first week. They've got to win balls in tight spaces with DBs on them and make some good catches, because Garbers isn't necessarily going to put every ball in the numbers, okay? But he is going to try and fit it into some tight windows. And what UCLA needs to do is, if they're going to emphasize a vertical passing game, they're not going to be over 50% run like they were with Chip Kelly. They're going to throw the ball quite a bit. And the receivers need to make plays. Even the running backs, but the receivers have to win balls in the air in this game versus the Indiana defense. They have to. If they're going to go deep and make vertical patterns happen, they have to win a couple of more balls in the air to go after my very hefty hope of 3 plays, 35 yards or longer on the passing game. That's a lot. That's greedy. That is greedy. But that's what I'd like to see in my mind to prove UCLA, if they're going to throw the ball, they need that amount to be a successful passing team. With time, with continual success, and the ability for the receivers to make play after play. And now let's also look at the running backs, who also need to make plays, because that woeful effort against Hawaii, yes, it's not necessarily their fault. They had no room, literally no room to run, but at least let's try and break a tackle, right? I don't want this number to be, yes, you always want this number to be high for running back and for running back coaches, but yards after contact, I hope, is not a stat I have to talk about in this game, right? I don't want it to be yards after contact when the running backs were getting crushed at the line of scrimmage. But they need to get through. TJ Harden, the Bruins need you. And it's not necessarily your fault that you have no running room, or the design is your fault, or Garber's fault, or Keegan Jones, or whoever, which of the 30 billion running backs or fullbacks the Bruins have. But they're going to emphasize the beef package. Then they need to run, and the running backs have to either be more patient, and it's not always on them. A lot of this is in the first segment where they need the offensive line to step up. They need to. But he helped out by big pass catches by the running backs. Maybe it's a block that picks up a blitz from Indiana. Maybe it's a fullback that makes a big play. Getting a short yardage yard that moves the chains with a conservative head coach that he showed in week 1. He's going to be 4th and 1 at the 40. He might not like it if UCLA is not proving they can do things. Well, if the offensive line gets enough movement, it's up to the running back to wiggle that extra yard or 2 to get into the end zone, to get the first down, to keep the chains going and make the plays happen. So it all collectively needs to come together. And the idea for this offense is they just need to do more. Not more like boom, boom, boom. They just need to do more collectively better. And I think they can. They can execute. Protect. All right, I'm not asking for 0 sacks. Just a little more time to have Garbers make the right read, hit his receiver who needs to make a play, and then they can go beat Indiana, which I think they absolutely can. They should. I think they can. I think this 3-point home dog, it can be a little tough to watch right now in the Rose Bowl. I don't think that's the case. I think this UCLA team is going to come to play, and we're going to talk about the defense in the next episode. We're going to talk keys to the game officially on the Friday episode, which is why we should get our hands up and 8 clap, everybody, and get excited for the rest of these episodes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.